Leo Garcia is present. So we're gonna talk about a few things today on normal updates. We'll go a little bit quickly on those because we want to leave a lot of time for our presentation today. Overall, what we're introducing today is the idea of neighborhood policing, the neighborhood policing initiative. We'll have a speaker come join us today to present some slides around exactly what that is, how it's going to help our district and the city overall. We're also going to go back through the 2024 goals prioritization feedback results. So a couple of months ago, we asked you for your input on what you just prioritize. We're able to tabulate and visualize some of those results. So we'll go to those and connect the dots a little bit on what we're presenting today, because we also have a really good new initiative that we're launching, the three of us, which we're calling the Community Partnership Plan. Pending a new, more exciting, but we will go through what that looks like, and that's going to really lean in on the community. You here and everybody else in the community wants to get involved and want to understand how we can work together to kind of combat this uptick in crime that we've been experiencing not only in the district but across the state. And at the end of the meeting, we'll have public comment as normal and just a reminder of calls to action. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive in. And as we always do, we start with incidents reports. Just wanted to make a note that the robberies and victimization this year so far, so the same dates from last year to this year, we are recognizing that we're almost nearly doubling what we experienced last year. So as you can see, robbery and victimizations, 52 incidents, these same dates in 2023, we're at 101 this year. So just know that the three of us all are in contact with CPD command staff, myself with Commander Sani, Sam with Captain Forbes, and Jenny with Sergeant Angelo, just to check in on this and understand what's going on. And when I had my conversation, I actually had it with Captain Forbes last time. They are very much aware of these incidents. They're prioritizing robberies and carjackings. As I mentioned before, there's a robberies and carjackings missions team, and they're doing their best to work with their surrounding districts, 17, 18, 20, 24, so that we could work together, because obviously crime is not going to be isolated just to the 19 that criminals may span across a couple of districts. So we're working together across districts. And then another thing I was told is that they've been shifting operational hours for some tactical teams to address the hours that activity has heightened. So that in itself is, a measure to combat some of this uptick, a little bit of reactive response here from our man staff.
As you guys know, expanding our public safety umbrella to include mental health crisis response is something that we always focus on, and that's really important to us. I've been spending the past couple months really trying to understand what that landscape was like. Talked about it a lot last meeting. We created little cards that we're handing out to police officers, so that when they come across a mental health crisis and that they feel like could be handled by a trained mental health team and some officer, they'd be able to call and do a warm handoff to them. But with city, of course, we had a little printing snafu and it didn't turn out exactly how we wanted, so we're working on that. But we do have our prototype back there for the community to take. Please take some, and just the more that people use it and know that these services are out there, the more they're used, the better off, and the better off we'll all be, the most supportive. And that's one of the things that we really hope to grow, is the community's ability to use these resources. As I mentioned, it is very finicky right now based on what zip code you're in, so you really need to make sure you're matching the zip code to where you are, to the number that you're calling. One other exciting thing is actually there's a number that operates, again, not 24 hours quite yet, but it's one, I think it's 833 NAMI CHI, CHI, and that, instead of calling the specific zip code, is just another phone number right now that's kind of thrown into this mental health crisis response that we can rely on. We have a card for them back there as well. So like I said, please take some of those and use them, pass them out to your people in your community or any groups you're involved in. And one last thing, we've talked several meetings ago, we had some of our professionals from the living room come in and share about their program. They are a free peer-led respite center for people experiencing mental health crisis. It's run by people who've had experience in mental health crisis before. And it's just a place for them to go and kind of de-escalate when needed. And the exciting news about this living room in our community is that it's just extended to 24/7. So that is a great resource that we also like.
I wanted to give what is an exciting update on the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability nominating process that if you've been at one of these meetings in the past, you've heard me talk about. As a refresher there, for those who may not know, the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, or CCPSA, is a 7-member body that has significant powers overseeing the police department, civilian office, and Chicago Police Board. Most notably, they are responsible for and did nominate 3 individuals to Mayor Johnson to be the next superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. Among those was Superintendent Snow that Mayor Johnson chose. The current community commission is in place on an each-vote basis, but it was designed to be nominated by the committee of elected district council members, and I represent our district, the 19th, on a committee of 22 district council members, 1 from each of the police districts in Chicago, in selecting nominees for the next CCPSA. Under the ordinance, the committee has to select essentially 2 nominees for every 1 spot to the mayor, and the mayor has final decision-making power over who will serve on the next commission. And this is really designed to give a direct line from the people of Chicago through their elected representatives to this commission that exercises these important powers. So I'm very proud to announce that on March 8th, we, as a committee, voted to nominate 15 people to Mayor Johnson for the next community commission for public safety and accountability. Just to give you an overview of what that process looks like, under the ordinance, once you release the application into the public, there's a 30-day period for individuals to apply, and once that 30-day period is closed, the committee then has another 30 days to review all applications, determine who to interview, hold interviews, need to decide who to nominate, and then vote on those nominees. It's a very short window that the ordinance gives us to do that. In this first ever process run by the District Council Nominating Committee, we were able to get 120 applicants for these positions. The nominating committee held 33 interviews over 2 full weekends. It was really fun. It was also the weekends that were 70 degrees outside, so I'll try to forget that. But it was really a wonderful process of meeting some amazingly talented and qualified Chicagoans from across the city. In the end, we went for 6.5 hours of closed session to decide the interview to nominate, and we met in a public meeting on March 8th to actually hold that vote and explain to the public who these people were. I'm here pictured with 3 other individuals on the nominating committee. One of the innovations we had was this was a brand new deliberative body of 22 people. We had to figure out how to make decisions, how to communicate with each other, how to workshop things. So we formed 4 regional working groups throughout the city. I was the liaison from the Northeast working group that included basically the whole North Side lakefront districts. And here I'm joined with Anthony Bryant, Ellie Baena, and Angelica Green, who were the liaisons for 3 other working groups, all the council members. We've met at least once a week for the last 6 months, and then over the last few weeks there, it was about every day to determine what to do next. The process was really informed by community members. We issued a survey early in the process to decide to ask what people were looking for in community commissioners. We used those survey results to come up with a rubric that we used in evaluating candidates. We had a pretty quantitative process for grading applications and scoring interviews. Then we used a data scientist on team on staff. Downtown with the CCPSA to help us crunch the numbers and figure out where our consensus was. And then we really had work on building consensus across a pretty wide array of people. This was a body that spanned a full gamut of Chicago viewpoints, from those who are really left on policing issues to a retired sergeant who, routinely wears a thin line tie and things. That's the community that really represents. So I'm very proud of the process that we came up with. And the next slide is the 15 nominees that we chose. You'll see here that this is an alphabetical order, but under the ordinance, there need to be 4 nominees from the north side, 4 from the west side, 4 from the south side. Along that, there also needed to be 4 nominees who have at least 10 years of legal experience as a lawyer in prosecution, defense, or civil rights or civil liberties. At least 4 nominees have been between the ages of 18 and 24 because there are youth representatives on the commission, and at least 2 nominees need to be community organizers with at least 10 years of experience of formal affiliation with a community-based organization. We ended up nominating 3 of those. And now the decision moves to Mayor Johnson, who himself has 30 days to review all the application materials that we had for the nominees and decide who among these, which 7 among these to nominate to the final commission. Hopefully you will get a vote on this list. It's a really qualified and great group of people. And if he decides not to choose from that list, he would send it back to the district council nominating committee to send more nominees. The mayor cannot choose people from this commission that were not sent to him as nominees by the district council nominating committee. His deadline, I believe, is April 7th, and so we'll find out in the next couple of weeks what his decision is. But it was a great group. If anyone has any questions about that, I obviously love talking about this. It's been a lot of time. But it was very exciting. It's sort of a new form of democratic decision making that exists in Chicago for the first time, and then we made words on a page, hopefully into reality, and we're going to work to write down all that process so that we're transparent about what we went through and improve on it moving forward. So I welcome any feedback you have. Wanted to announce that.
Hey Sam, I have a question.
Yeah,
Are there any current interim commissioners on this list?
there are. So Anthony Driver and Mount Terry are 2 nominees, both of whom have served for the last year and a half, a little bit more than that on the interim commission. Certainly from my perspective as a moderator, and I think this was shared on the nominating committee, there were, we're glad to see that some folks from the interim commission applied. Just like the nominating committee spent all this time coming up with processes for all this, the commission has done that sort of 100-fold last year in deciding how to nominate to the mayor nominees for superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, how to pass policies, how to work with the police department on community input on policies, how to hold accountable the police accountability agencies. So I'm very hopeful that the mayor will choose at least 1 person with some institutional knowledge going forward. I've done a couple of jokes there from that initial list. And we will also hear from another tonight who's with us. As I would say, whoever will introduce one later with the neighborhood policing initiative, but congratulations and good luck in this next process.
Thanks, Sam.
Just real quick, we wanted to show people some of the organizations and places we've been talking to in the community, the district council at large. We've also been talking with the CCPSA and the commission members to keep on building processes throughout how these district councils work together. Even though it feels like we've been doing this for a long time, it's still very new and we're trying to figure out what those processes look like. So here's a list of some of the information to the CCPSA, some of the neighborhood organizations that we have been speaking to. And as always, we invite you guys to come and reach out to us. We are happy to have meetings, as you'll see in a little bit. We're going to explain a little more about our initiatives or some community meetings in the next month. So we look forward to doing those as well.
And also want to just give a quick update on our website. It's currently, or I should say, consistently being updated. So I do want to point out that the Take Action page is live, and there are a few different links under there. Always going to have an RSVP for our next meeting. Also put in some resources for you to be able to find your beat meeting when that's going to happen. Also have the previous work that we've done. So some of this, some of the data results that we're about to present are also housed here. Just make sure that you keep checking back, because what we are aiming to do is really make this a robust resource page so that, all the things that Jenny has mentioned today about the mental health services, that's also up here. Any resources related to CCPSA, we can have basically be a repository of everything we've been working on, because we don't want to have that behind closed doors. We want that accessible and available to everybody in the public. So please keep checking out our website when you can. All right, so now we're going to move into our discussions. And as we had mentioned, we wanted to talk about our goals survey that we sent at the beginning of this year. So I'm going to go quickly. Just note that these are not all the results. You can access those online. Of course, you can find these presentations online on our website, as always. And I have links, as you'll see here at the very bottom. You can see the full survey results, including the raw data files if you want to dig into those. But here we wanted to give a quick summary of what the priorities turned out to be, and they shouldn't be a shock to those who have been to some of our meetings in the past. So the question was asked, which 3 topics would you describe as your top priorities for 2024? We had 126 folks fill out this survey, not nearly close to the 2,000 we were hoping for, as we saw our neighbors, the 18th district get, but again, we want to make sure that it was open. We had it open for a couple of months. And those that landed in the top 3 most frequently, as you can see, are expanding mental health crisis response, helping address homelessness, substance abuse, and domestic violence issues, and building stronger relationships between police and community members. I'm highlighting 2 things here in blue because they are very relevant to what we're talking about today. We're talking about building stronger relationships between us and the police, and then we're also talking about implementing more community policing initiatives. As you can see, at least a third of those who took the survey believe that this to be a top 3 most important priorities for our work. And as you all know, we have already spent significant time advocating for more expansive mental health response systems and working towards those, and additionally, other ways to address homelessness. So we want to just elaborate here what these priorities are, and also dig in a little bit more deeply, because while these are overall the summary, wanted to show, the top 3 things that we talked about here in that chart. Expanding mental health crisis responses. As you can see, it was asked, how important are each of the following when considering how to improve public safety in the 19th district? We had a 5-point scale ranging from not at all important to extremely important. And you can see that 81% of you marked expanding mental health crisis response as either very or extremely important. So wanted to just note, while you only saw 55% next to expanding mental health, when you ask about it granularly, you see that 80% of folks say that it's either very or extremely important. And similarly, when we look at addressing homelessness, substance abuse, and domestic violence issues, you can see that 79% of us said either very or extremely important. And similarly, for building stronger relationships between police and community members, that 88% say very or are extremely important. So just wanted to double click on this. There's full charts and even more data online. That summary chart has a link to the full survey results. But another thing that's really important and really interesting to us is the open-ended responses, right? So at the very end of our survey, we wanted to ask, do you have any other public safety or policing concerns you'd like us to address? And I, just went through these responses, and they vary in terms of topic, but I did want to show some that aligned with our top 3 priorities. So we have one that says extra emphasis on expansion of community mental health resources. Another person said, I could have selected more than 3 top topics. Many listed here are very important. I would love to see the council really give its all to helping unhouse folks. And then another one that says the homeless issue coupled with the recent influx of migrants demands attention to the increase in public health and safety. So this is telling us that our priorities that were listed, they are top of mind. They are what the community wants to see. Obviously, this is 126 people. It doesn't represent the 250,000, but it gives us a pretty good idea of what our priorities should be. And we're really happy that we've been focusing on things that are a priority to the community over the last 11 months 10 months, 11 months, 10 or 11 months in office. Something around there. I'm not a quantitative guy. No. The other thing that we wanted to point out are some of these concerns related to immediate term solutions. And I know we've had this conversation before. A lot of the things that we presented, not all, have been focused on longer strategies on how to address root causes to some of the public safety issues that we've been facing. And what we're trying to say here is we hear you loud and clear. We're really excited because today we're trying to do just that, address some of these immediate term concerns. And just to give you an example of some of those comments that we've gotten. The top left one, this is an extremely disappointing survey, and I worry you are out of touch with your constituents. How about prioritizing ways to actually decrease crime now? Fair. We will work to, try to reduce crime. We are not police officers. We've made that very clear. We're not 911, but we will work with police officers in the Office of Emergency Management to see how we can better triage some of these issues that we're facing. Another one, simple, reduce crime. Number one priority should be to reduce violent crime and carjacking, and then reducing crime and making the street safer. And then another one that says number one priority should be the reduction of violent crime in district. Got it. And what we're trying to say here is like we hear you. We not only through the survey, we have one-on-one conversations as many of us can attest, and we want to make sure that we are listening to all community members, both long-term and near-term. I also wanted to bring in some data from the violence reduction dashboard. This is available information, and I wanted to put it in perspective of how it's been going over the past 6 years. And you can see in 2018, the orange at the top is robberies. In 2018, we had 400 incidents of robberies. Just this last year, 2023, had 413, right? I want to go down to the bottom of the chart. In the green, you have carjackings. In 2018, that was only 33 incidents. In 2023, had 55, right? That's a 2/3, that's 66% increase right there in 6 years. So what we're trying to say here is you are feeling it, we are seeing it, and we have the data to back it up. So let's try to work together as a community to put some of our ideas into place and work with CPD to see if we can together try to hamper this rise in crime. So with that, I'm going to turn it over now to our special guest, Jose Abonce. He's going to teach us about neighborhood policing initiative, which is related to everything we just talked through.
Jose, please come up here and if I could also just introduce you briefly. I was always excited to hear from the neighborhood policing initiatives because they've been working in Chicago for the last several years and trying to bring hopefully thousands of community members together to really work together to come up with problem-solving solutions to public safety issues that are happening in the districts. NPI has expanded to, I think it's 10 districts, and they were on the ground working in some of the areas of the city that experience the highest rates of violent crime. Years before district councils were in place, and come out of the NYU Law School policing project. And my origin story and wanting to even get involved with this is my time at NYU Law School working with Barry Reagan, the founder of the policing project, who said communities really should have democratic solutions to figuring out how their communities are policed and where we should put their resources. And here we have district council. So I'm really excited to introduce Jose Abonce, who's been working with NPI for several years now, and can tell us all about himself and what NPI has been able to accomplish and what some of the challenges are.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, district councilors. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, be able to speak to your constituents. As Sam was saying, I live in the policing project. It's a nonprofit out of the NYU School of Law, and it's mainly focused on democratic policing and front-end accountability of law enforcement. Traditionally, when you think of accountability when it comes to the police, it's usually at the back end. After something has already gone wrong, some harm has been caused. And usually the process where the result is a lawsuit or a consent decree or misconduct. But policing project, we believe that if we are able to put policies or guardrails in place before police are out there doing their job, that they could be safer and so can communities because they understand the protocols, the policies, the boundaries. So that's the type of work that we do in Chicago. We've been doing the neighborhood policing initiative here. It launched in late 2018, early 2019 in the 25th district. And really, oops, going the wrong way. Yeah, very good. We always get that wrong too. So we kicked off in 2018 in the 25th district, which is like North Austin, Belmont, Cragen, and most side area over there on the northwest side. And the neighborhood police initiative is really, I want to emphasize this, more than a community policing program. That's currently the way CAPS operates, but NPI is really a comprehensive community policing philosophy in which hopefully every officer could be a community policing officer, and the responsibilities of being a community policing officer doesn't just fall on a subset of officers. It's everybody's responsibility. So that's kind of the basis behind MPI. It's broken down into two major components. One of them is the restructuring of the police department and how they kind of deploy their officers and what officers are doing. And then the second component is the community engagement component. MPI actually had existed in New York, and CPD was interested in the MPI, but wanted to be a little bit more innovative and said, hey, we want to add a community engagement component to MPI. And so they had asked my organization, hey, can you help us with the community engagement component? And to really try to spread awareness about what MPI is and convene stakeholders to have these conversations around public safety. So we see here, MPI restructures how police operate. Community policing, again, doesn't follow any subset of officers, it's everybody's responsibility. And this means that officers across all watches have a coordinated strategy to address public safety. With the use of technology and dispatch being trained on how to deploy officers depending on the calls, every unit on every watch has time to be off of the radio and be doing collaborative problem solving, be doing community engagement, and not just going from call to call. You know, some of the engagement we've done with officers, they really talk about how sometimes as a beat officer, they don't always make arrests, and they're going from call to call responding to dispatch, but there's not always a solution that they see immediately happen, especially when there isn't an arrest. And what they're trying to say is we need more time to do follow-up and really follow through on what are the root causes of why we're getting so many calls for service on this given block and from this given property first. And really that's what FTI provides the opportunity to do so. Here we kind of broke down again a little bit about how officers are redistributed and then how they're assigned and the things that dispatch kind of goes through in terms of training to allow for those community officers, or I should say every police officer, to have time to engage community again, do collaborative problem solving. I want to show you a map here. This is the which is one of the districts that MPI exists in. It's a district, and all the districts are South and West Side districts. What MPI does to restructure how officers are deployed is basically you see in the blue, outlined in the blue are the beats, and then outlined in the red are sectors. And basically through MPI, what we do is we group 3 to 4 beats together into one sector called the district coordination area. And then within this DCA, the way it's supposed to work is we have officers, beat officers assigned to the beats without ever leaving that beat, which provides an opportunity for officers get to know the community stakeholders that we meet. But then also we have this role of the district coordination officer, which is really the new role created with through MPI at the police district. These district coordination officers or DCOs, they're not the regular beat officers. So they're not assigned to the beat car, they're not responding to calls. They're instead have all the time throughout their shift to do collaborative problem solving. That looks different depending on what community they're in, what shift they're working, who they're building networks with, who they're getting to know in the community. So the idea behind the DCO is that they're going to have time to be in the field, getting to know people without necessarily, they're not there to make arrests, although they have policing powers. They're there to really try to identify what are the root causes of the most chronic concerns that this district has, and then how do we address those collaboratively with community stakeholders. And so that collaboration might look like a faith-based leader, a service provider, your district counselors. The DCOs also have the responsibility to inform beat officers across all watches about what they're encountering, the relationships they're building. You know, sometimes when we, there were things we heard in the districts where we were operating MPI, and some of the community members were all for something like this. It felt innovative. It felt like a little bit more than CAS. And they were up for it, but they were concerned that I'm gonna build this good relationship with my DCOs. But then what about that beat officer on third watch that comes and harasses my neighbor that has no idea about the relationship that I have with my DCO? And now they kind of harm the relationship or the rapport that I've established. Maybe that resident went as far as to be a liaison and really try to connect their neighbors to the DCOs. But it just takes an officer, that's not necessarily in tune or connected with what DCOs might be doing to kind of harm that rapport that might have been established. So it's very important that a DCO be able to be flexible. That means work fourth watch, which means they could work morning, afternoon, midnight, and be able to really target, all right, depending on what's going on in my district, I see that it's a problem. We're having issues at 8 p.m. in this area. I'm going to shift my schedule to make sure I'm able to cover that area. And I'm going to make sure that I'm contacting and engaging my beat officers so that they're aware of what relationships I have, what collaborative solutions we're proposing, and they could be a partner in that public safety solution. This is a little bit about basically how through NTI officers are using their time. As you see, DCOs, majority of their time is dedicated to community engagement, being out there, trying to get to know people, trying to identify the challenges, trying to collaborate on solutions. It even goes as far as to really benefit beat officers when this is working effectively and districts are being staffed appropriately to be able to really implement NTI. We've seen beat officers have up to 30% of their time off of radio, and they're using that time to do collaborative problem solving. They're not just using it to do traffic missions, for example, or sit in a car. They're really out there using information that DCOs are collecting to really try to see what can they do during their shift to address the solutions that DCOs are encountering. Here's just a little bit again about just the community engagement. And production. Okay, so I want to talk to you all about like what community engagement actually looked like. So here's a picture of, and this is also the 10th district actually. We convened a meeting with DCOs, the commander, CP leadership, and a number of community stakeholders. So the 10th district is like North Lawndale, area. And as part of the engagement, really what the team and I did was spend months just doing community organizing, building relationships with stakeholders so that they could become aware about what MPI is. And then we started convening monthly meetings like this, where we at each meeting we talked about, okay, what are the most pressing concerns that you have? They would list out their concerns. Officers were there to be able to provide input based on what they're seeing, based on calls for service. And then collectively we agreed, okay, these are the most pressing challenges. Now, what are some collaborative solutions that we can propose? And how do we create an action plan? Here's the little example of an action plan we created. This is also from the 10th district. I wish I could show you more, but this is like the very beginning. And you see, we have some priorities that people were interested in. Activating public spaces, engaging hard-to-reach populations, expanding access to services, consistent and impactful engagement with CP. These were some of the priorities that collectively these community members thought, okay, these are very important, and we should be working on these with our DCOs and the police district. Through our community engagement and through the relationships we built in these meetings, whenever some sort of like high-profile incident occurred, or community came together with CPD on any given block and came together to canvas, for example, brought together service providers, and really, through our conversations, we realized a lot of the solutions that were being proposed to address public safety didn't necessarily just fall on a police response. it needed a holistic approach that oftentimes required either a nonprofit service provider or the housing department at the city level or OEMC. Like there's different city departments or local neighborhood organizations that were also part of the solutions. And it didn't necessarily just fall on police. That was very important for people to recognize, for police to understand as well. Because we all have our so I think the more that we leverage community resources, the better outcomes we can have. Here's another example again, where troubled areas, people came together and tried to address like whatever concerns were happening in the community. It could have been a series of shootings, could have been some armed robberies, carjackings, but the point was that DCOs and community members were establishing relationships that went beyond just like a photo op or beyond just like a one-time event, and really try to get at what are the root causes and then how do we address the root causes so we can try to eliminate this reoccurring challenge. Here's some just like the service provided here, community engagement, people involved as well in the canvassing or the just the pop-ups that we did throughout the blocks. It was always including local stakeholders and organizations, the neighbors, so that it didn't feel like it was just police or it didn't just feel like it was a concerned resident. It really felt like a community was trying to address the challenge. And I kind of want to wrap up here with just something that we've seen too is if NPI is fully implemented, you know, I just want to also talk about the evaluation because Northwestern University evaluated NPI and its impact. And it found that the latest report, which is the final report, came out May 2023. Northwestern found that NPI didn't show a significant decrease or impact in terms of crime, but that we surveyed 300 officers and community members that were involved in this, and there was higher job satisfaction, for example. Officers who were DCOs felt like this was something that all police should be doing, and it was actually frustrating when, due to a lack of capacity or staffing, sometimes these DCOs were asked to fill in as a beat car, and that was really frustrating for them because it shifted how they approached policing, and it shifted what their responsibilities were and what they had volunteered to do. A DCO isn't, people applied to be a DCO. They went through rigorous testing, did some 3-week training, and then after that, it was decided, like, CPD headquarters were like, okay, these are going to be the DCO. So these were officers that had invested time and energy into being a DCO. So it was really challenging when they were asked, hey, can you do a beat car? Or hey, can you go downtown for the special event? And now they're being asked to like, they're being pulled out of their district, or as I mentioned, the DCA district coordination. Other challenges were simply that CPD couldn't fully implement MPI in one of these districts, let alone 10. So oftentimes when we were in conversations with the city and they were continuing to try to expand, we were advocating for them to slow down because they weren't getting it right in one district. And we didn't want to just expand it everywhere without it working appropriately, and then we're letting people down. So it came to a point where we had to tell somebody, like, if you expand, we can't promise that we'll be there to support you in terms of the community engagement, just because we feel like it's not being done right. And so we have regular check-ins with CPD headquarters and district commanders about how to address some of the challenges that the evaluation highlighted in terms of them being able to really implement this to full fidelity. Some of the elements include really staffing the districts entirely so that they have the capacity to have DCOs and not be asking DCOs to do something that they're not supposed to be doing. We also are advocating for, and we just actually met with the new chief of patrol today something that we're really interested in is for MPI to exist under the chief of patrol, not under the Office of Community Policing, because we believe this isn't a program. This shouldn't be a program. This is a policing philosophy. And therefore, it should be under the Bureau of Patrol. That's a work in progress. Obviously, there's a number of conversations we need to have about that. I think the other thing now I want to highlight here is if MPI were to be fully implemented the way it's supposed to, the way it's intended to be, we could see it actually meet some of the consent decree paragraphs. And here I highlighted on the left-hand column is the consent decree and the paragraphs that I pulled out that align with some of the MPI components, and also give you a sense of currently through CAPS how they how those consent decree paragraphs align with the existing CAPS program. So as we see here, some of if we look at the first one, the integration of community policing, right now that's currently happening through some officers, like CAPS officers, but most officers are focused on responding to calls and enforcement. Through NPI, all officers, like I mentioned, would have uncommitted time to be off of the radio and be doing community engagement and be doing collaborative problem solving. We have rapid response officers ensuring that all calls are being responded to so that it doesn't feel like community is kind of dependent on whatever's going on in the district and may or may not get a response. Another thing, community-driven problem solving. This really captures paragraphs 14 and 15. Right now, currently, CAPS officers are assigned to community policing, and they engage through special subcommittees that CAPS has. Other efforts include CAPS officers spending their time coordinating or planning events, activities, programs in the district, and beat meetings, being a space where community members can provide input or be engaged. Through NPI, community members stay at the table, informing CPD and local service providers what the public safety concerns are, but also what those solutions are. And always partnering with the DCOs, as I mentioned. Through NPI, DCOs spending most of the time in the community, like I said. Right now, sometimes, depending on the district, I'm not going to speak for all CAPS, but there is differences between CAPS and NPI. And they should complement each other, I should say, because CAPS, there's still a need for some of the essential duties that CAPS has. Working with the youth or the faith-based community or the domestic violence. These are things that are still needed that should be a function of CPD. MPI isn't trying to replace CAPS either, because MPI, again, is going to policing philosophy and not necessarily, it goes beyond just, I'm going to put together this event to engage the community. It goes to, how do I establish a relationship or a partnership that allows us to identify problems and then collaborate on solutions. And, some CAPS officers, are great. They've been doing this for a long time. Maybe they were around back in the 90s when CAPS was initiated and have a deep understanding of what it was meant. But over time, it's been deprioritized. There's been less funding going into CAPS and just less officers in the CAPS office. And engagement looks a little different. MPI is trying to really bring in more community input and community services to be part of whatever solutions that police might have. And there's a few more charts here that kind of go through some of the more of the consent decree. I don't necessarily want to read through all of these, but just to show you that if MPI were to be adopted as a citywide strategy, it can help CPD meet some of the consent decree requirements, especially under community. Here's just wrap up with some pictures here. Some circles we did with officers and community members throughout the west and south sides over the last couple of years. These were opportunities, again, like this is a vacant lot on any given block, a store to look at, to be dealing with. But some of these community members part of their solutions were, how do I acquire this vacant lot? And then how do I make use of it? And their use of it was, I'm gonna bring my neighbors together with police officers and have conversations in circle about the challenges that impact my lot and talk about solutions. Summer's a great time to do that. Here's just some more pictures from, meetings we had. Here's the 15th district counselors actually up top as well. And, yes, thank you. So I'll stop there. There's other work the policing project does, but I'm not gonna, I don't know how much time I took on, and I know if there's questions or discussion,
We'll bring a mic to you.
How many DCOs do you anticipate in each district? So it really depends on how large the district is and how many people might be in the district, but on average, the 10 MPI districts have anywhere from 10 to 15 DCOs. Each area, which we call DCAs, district coordination areas, have 2 DCOs assigned. So we always want to have 2 DCOs per sector. So some districts might have 3, 4, 5 sectors, and that will make up how many DCOs are there.
Can we go back real quick to your slide, right before the map? But there was one where you talked about right there, engaging with the community. I noticed that the DCOs interact with the
Detectives, yes. So number 2, their assignment. So assignment of violent crime detectives would be also working very closely with districts, a paid officer. So detectives would need to be part of whatever safety strategy DCOs are trying to develop. Yeah, so it's been around since 2019, and
any track of improvement in crime reduction.
yeah, so that's why I talked about the evaluation report not finding a significant impact on crime reduction. But the report highlights some of the benefits that officers experience in terms of wellness, job satisfaction, and the community engagement they practice. But no, in terms of crime, I think honestly, I would hesitate to make this or frame the MPI as a crime reduction strategy versus a trust building, collaborative problem solving strategy with community and police.
I admire your and I appreciate it. I would just like to suggest, I don't know if this is intentional, if the history with police and the perception. And we remix those letters to spell race. I'm scared.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I don't think we did that on purpose, but.
Make it fair.
And just to speak on, the evaluation of MPI's effects, and as I mentioned, Northwestern did do a final assessment report and has been tracking this. Let's be frank, MPI has faced some real challenges in implementation in the city. It was expanded to 10 districts in 22, before it was ready to be expanded. DCOs require a great deal of time that they spend on this kind of sort of fourth watch, 24/7 sort of policing. It can lead to great job satisfaction, but I've also heard reports that it can lead to burnout, or if you're not the right fit for it, it might not be the right fit for you. I will also say when one of our early meetings with the commander, he was asking me, give me DCOs, because the district is not one of the MPI districts. And so I think there's still talks about expanding this program statewide, and the best way we can do it. And another way this ties into what the district council has been doing is looking at how police officers are spending their time, working with that workforce allocation study that the city council just approved, that the CP is going to be doing, so that officers, we can't really look at how officers can spend not just all their time on patrol, going from call to call to call, but spending more of their time as this problem solving mode.
One more question.
Some of us had a little trouble. Sorry. Some of us had a little bit of trouble about real about rearranging the letters. Can he repeat? Would you mind repeating what you said about rearranging the letters, please?
He was just commenting on the fact that the first letter of each of these columns, if you take that, it spells race. And that could be contentious given the history between media and policing. So it was just a suggestion to reorder those words.
Is there one more question here?
Let me give him that.
As we get the mic to him, I do also want to follow up on what Sam was saying. Through NPI, we're tracking how DCOs are spending their time. So how much time are they spending problem solving? Who are they partnering with in the community? The challenges they're addressing, how did those originate? What is the follow-up to their challenges? And finally, how they might resolve the challenge. So they're reporting that and tracking that, and that allows us to see, again, how much time officers are spending on problem-solving activities, which is the main purpose of MPI. How do we collaboratively problem solve?
Well, NDI is certainly impressive. I must say, thank you for all the work that you put into this and everybody else has. The question I have is you move forward and develop this and change it and improve it as time goes on. What will be some of the signposts, measurable signposts that you've been successful and that need to move forward? And what would be signposts that this isn't working? And that we need to redo this. What do you see as the future, both on the very positive side, and then also if things may not work out?
I guess, that's a good question. I think something that we have to think about when it comes to like community policing is also to be careful about assigning metrics to community policing that might be used to, determine whether or not, I don't want to say, and even I have trouble saying this, like regular policing. Like you don't want to assign community the same metrics, for example, how many guns did we get off the street, how many arrests did we make? That's not the appropriate metric. And it also shouldn't just be, like, it needs to be a little bit more innovative than that. And something that we look at, for example, is calls for service. So, DCOs should be using technology available to them at the district to be able to see, okay, if I'm getting 100 calls for service on this house, but we're never making an arrest. How can we reduce those calls for service so that we're not overloading the system? And then officers can respond to things they should be responding to, especially things that are a priority. And so that could be a metric that is a metric that we use is calls for service. So we try to stay away from has like crime reduced or has gun violence reduced, because that's really hard to say that it might be an indirect impact, but it's not a direct impact we would say. Yeah. So some of the things that right now that we've seen where we can say, all right, this district seems to be working it well, this district has some more challenges, honestly has to do with the leadership at the district level. Whether or not a commander, what's the commander's experience when it comes to community policing? The assignments he makes when it comes to sergeants and lieutenants, how do they value or look at community policing? Oftentimes we've seen there's high turnover in leadership at the CPD level, and community members are the last to find out about those transitions. And so then community members then have to become accustomed to the new way that a new leader might run his or her district. And so I think part of what we're seeing and trying to really develop is leadership and training and deeper understanding within the entire police district of what MPI is, so that when we do have transition in leadership, this doesn't just fall as a second or third priority. So I don't know. I don't know how much I answered your question, but I would really encourage you all to check out that evaluation for Northwestern. I think it'll give you a lot more insight on what's working and what isn't. Unfortunately, there's been leadership changes, administrations that have softly committed to MPI, verbally or on paper, but execution hasn't always been there.
I'm gonna do two more questions for the sake of time.
I was wondering why you got a low response rate in the survey relative to 2020.
That's a question for me. So yes, we, I was partly tongue in cheek there because the 18th district did a survey where they received 2,000 responses. I think it was, earlier this year across the 2023. We had talked about how we want more community engagement. We blasted this, I don't know how many newsletters, how many, solicitations that we had. So, you know, it's also on us, as community members to share our survey, and more responses is better because we don't want, as I said, 250,000 people approximately reside in the 19th district, 126 is just a fraction of that, right? So, we're continuously trying to evaluate how we get more, responses, and we're going to continue to do that.
And just to add, our survey was a more in-depth survey. I'm pretty sure that the survey in the 19th district was one question, and I think it was 2 or 1 consumption. So it was a very yes, no, it's easy to fill out.
Jose, I just have a quick question. I completely love MPI. I love the work that you do. I appreciate it. I know how the program works, and I know that it works in the department. My question is, if you are assigned to patrol, will you be then able, will MPI be able to be at the academy level where you're able to teach all officers how to be community engagement police officers and to be DCOs? I think that will be invaluable. I know we've discussed that in the past. So is that the direction?
Yeah, no, so we definitely have been in conversations with headquarters about how do we incorporate the same training that DCOs receive to be a DCO in the academy. So even before, you know, with the recruits, before they get assigned a district or on a beat, they at least have some exposure to that training that is heavily centered on community. I'm talking the DCOs, the training that they do. Part of it is 1 week actually the training with detectives so that they have a skill set there and they're able to collaborate with detectives. Another week is directly with community members, service providers, in which they get assigned to the district that they're potentially going to be assigned to, and then they spend like 3-4 days in that district, like 9 to 5, just working with members, sitting in circle, getting to know service providers, going on tours. And that was really benefit a lot of lead officers. So it's, you know, I think with CPD, it's a lot of policy and bureaucracy. And so I wish I could snap my fingers and incorporate DCO training at headquarters, but there definitely needs to be approval. Maybe working with district counselors and the commission could be a way to make this happen quicker or sooner rather than later. But, you know, we're open to doing that.
All right, last question.
Hey, everyone. Hey,
I don't know.
We're on brought that race, that very good one. Thank you, Chair. CAR, this was very good. So I just wanted to say that I got involved in DI since the beginning when they first started in the 25th district. I really enjoyed it. And I believe, I don't know if I agree completely with the DCO like across the board, but I do believe that there should be maybe double the DCO that like for 2025, maybe double. I don't feel like there's enough. And well, just not enough officers, in my opinion. But that's the other thing. Are they planning on implementing this MPI Chicago-wide or only where we?
Yeah, so at one point that was the plan under Lightfoot's administration. We had advocated for them not to do that just because they haven't done it correctly in one issue. So we just said slow it a little bit. This current administration still doesn't have a community policing plan or strategy to adopt. The commission gave the superintendent a goal of by the 4th quarter to have a community policing plan. we as MPI hope to inform what that community policing plan looks like, to include MPI, or at least include MPI elements. At the end of the day, like, city can call this whatever they want, but the elements of MPI is what we believe in and what we hope could be adopted, citywide. So we'll see. I also agree in terms of DCOs, we need more DCOs. We advocate under MPI's model that we break down special units. There should be no special units because they're not accountable to the communities they serve. They come from the outside and come in to do missions, but they don't know the community. Through MPI, what we're advocating for is that all officers either become beat officers or DCOs, and there is no special units. You can fill in as a rapid response officer, you could be a CAMS officer, but there shouldn't be special units. And right now, I'm going to speculate that the workforce study is going to find that there's a lot of officers in special units or tactical units that, and because of the amount of officers in those units, that's why we continue to see the shortage of officers in our beats. And so I don't know so much so that there's a shortage of officers, more so than maybe officers that are currently in the department could be reassigned to kind of fill the gaps. There's also an issue, I'm in some districts where all the officers that are injured might be up for 6 months. They're still counted as being part of that district, even though that body is not there for 6 months. And the commander cannot fill that empty beat part with a new officer because whatever policy exists doesn't allow that. So there are challenges with how CPD is staffed and structured. MPI has recommendations around that, but you know, it's a work in progress. I'm excited for the workforce.
Jose, on behalf of Jenny, I want to say thank you so much for coming out tonight. That's been really informative, and I think it ties well with some of the priorities that you saw in some of the summary charts that we said. You know, building trust between community members and police, and then initiating more neighborhood policing initiatives in the district. So, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it over to Jenny. Just a reminder, time check. We do need to be out here by 8 p.m. because we've been tardy at last 2 times. And I want to be 3 times tardy.
All right, so we are excited. I've been meeting frequently with Jose and thinking about how we can do some form of collaborative problem solving, community and police together in the 19th district, given that we don't have our own DCO or we don't have MPI operating in full fidelity in our district or any fidelity in our district. And we really see this as we highlighted in the survey. You know, we have a desire to look at immediate solutions to triage some of the increases in violent crime that's happening in the district. So we hear from the community, we know that what a goal could be and what we could look at as community and district council and police is we came up with the goal, and together as a community, we can help to decrease robberies and other violent crimes that are occurring in the district. The way we are gonna go about doing this, our community engagement plan includes a series of 5 different steps. The first step, we've already just kind of given the command staff a heads up that this is something that we're planning on doing. We're gonna have a meeting with them shortly just to get into a little bit more detail about it. But the second piece is where I'm really excited to talk to you guys about tonight. We really want to have conversations in the community for short-term solutions that we can do to really address a lot of what is happening right now. The things that we have talked about and where our district council is focused on are the medium to long-term solutions, which we still think are so important. And those are the root cause solutions that are going to end up actually being proactive in public safety and helping us reduce crime in the long term. But what are some of those short-term community solutions? What do we have as a community ideas that we can move forward with to decrease crime in the very short term? So we are going to, in the next several weeks, be holding conversations with community members, hearing their input, and creating a list. So once we come together, we'll have a list of however long we get. We're gonna come together, synthesize it all, bring those ideas to CPD leadership, and hear from them. What's gonna work? What do they think won't work? Also think about outside, like Jose mentioned, it's not only police that we need to look into. What are some other solutions that we can look into and work to advocate in the city to make sure we can get in order to reduce crime in the short term? So we're going to come up with some goals, 3 or 4 goals, hopefully with CPD. We'll present those goals to the community, and then we'll continue to share monthly progress at our meetings alongside all of our, while we continue to focus on the mid to long-term goals that has been a priority and is a priority.
Jenny, do you want to give us some examples of what some of these goals could look like?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see what comes in community conversation, but I know I had a conversation with Captain Forbes in our district, and we were talking about the recent robberies, and he was mentioning that one thing he would like that was a helpful tool was being able to chase, and the pursuit policy has been the changes in the pursuit policy have hampered their ability to catch criminals. Knowing that the pursuit policy is effective, however, it also has implications in community members. It has hit and hurt and killed and paralyzed community members as well as officers. It also costs the city millions and millions of dollars in settlements. What are other options? How can we get the same result of the chases without actually engaging in chases? And one of the things that they came up with was, well, we could use more cameras on the street. And to me, that seems like a way, if the police believe that that's something that can help catch the criminals and the acts of, committing a crime without having to engage in foot pursuits, that feels like a win that we could get behind, and we could work with older people. I've already spoken to Matt Martin in the 47th Ward, and that's something that their staff would be interested in helping to do as well. So what are some of those solutions that work for all people that are in the best interest of both community and police officers and public safety that we can address? So that would be an example.
So just want to give people an idea what kinds of ideas to come to these meetings. Obviously, we don't want to put any boundaries behind it, but just, again, this is all in the effort of near immediate term solutions that we can implement together as a community and work with CPD and community groups to actually get something that works for us.
So my favorite thing to do is to ask everyone to take out their phones, please. This QR code, we want to hear from you. This QR code will link you to a survey, not a survey, it's a form that you can sign up for. You can see and sign up for some of the meetings that we'll be holding in the district and in the community in the next several weeks. So please take a moment to fill out to look at your calendars and see if there's a time that you can meet with us. I also want to highlight that we're happy to just take an email. You can email us, you can put your response on the form, any suggestions or ideas that you have to engage short-term immediate solutions for some of the public safety issues we're facing. We would love to hear.
And just a note on the meetings, we're going to be hosting virtual and in person. So I know a lot of times some of these meetings are inaccessible because of the workday. We want to try to make this as accessible as possible. So we have, I think, over 10 to 12 meetings, I think, scheduled in the next 3 weeks. So please take us up on this offer. And again, like Jenny mentioned, we can also receive emails if that works as well. The QR codes usually work with if you take out your camera and your smartphone should then recognize that it's a URL. But down here, you can also see the actual web address. So if you do bit.ly/19th community engagement, it should take you to the same form. And again, we'll be sending an email out with this information. So if you don't get it today, that's okay. But yeah, usually if you just use your camera, it'll bring up a website for you. Okay, so we're gonna go, with that 7:40, we always have to leave 20 minutes for public comment, so as usual, if anybody has a public comment they would like to make, you get 2 minutes to speak. And we will start taking those requests now. That's good. All right, I don't think we have forms today, so come on up, and we'll take, this opportunity. Okay. Although it's 35 degrees. I'm manifesting it. Sure. Yeah, it's, yeah.
Unfortunately, that is case specific, so it needs to be a capital C and a capital E in 19th community engagement.
We can put it on, I'll put it on the page. Maybe. So that people get. Okay.
You are 2 minutes.
So I was just wondering, so your last slide. So I mentioned this, where CPD already does these community conversations twice a year, and it seems like it's going after the same questions and same results. Why can't that be combined around the CPD, just basically people make those efforts and come up with the same conclusion, because I believe those questions I think you brought up, come up in these conversations. I attend them every year and they come up. So I would say that if you join forces and do these community conversations, we can knock them off rather than have people come to 4 meetings and 3 meetings. We already have a lot of meetings. And that's it. Actually, that was the meeting. Oh, B meetings. Sorry.
No?
So that's the other thing that, so I just rushed for one, my meeting, I try to come here. Just, if we're trying to work with CPD, if we can try and, plan around the dates, the meeting days, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. Because otherwise, people have to choose between going to the B meetings, learning what's happening in their community, or coming here and learn, what's happening with you guys. So that's it.
Those are both.
Thanks, Alana. Just a quick response. We hear you on the overlapping of meetings and it's important to, and we kind of just set our whole schedule at the beginning of the year and it comes up before the task schedule, but we recognize that that's an issue. We want to try to avoid that wherever we can. And as far as the duplicating of efforts, we know it's a lot of meetings. This is just an opportunity to have input. What we're trying to do is an independent elected district council is have this kind of problem solving. But we also have community conversations. We've been reading the strategic plan that came out of those community conversations. And what we want to do is to see what the progress has been at the 19th district and implementing some of those solutions that were come up with in those community conversations. But we recognize that there will be a little bit.
Yeah, and also want to point out too that we want to be mindful of the members that may not be comfortable attending meetings with police officers. So this is also another reason that we exist, because we can be liaisons for those folks that may not want to participate in the CPD centered community conversation. So again, as Sam mentioned, another opportunity, and as Jenny mentioned in one of our steps, is to synchronize with CPD command staff so that we know exactly what we're working towards together. And quite honestly, to hold each other accountable. So that's another big, thing that we are working towards, because I've attended some of those community conversations. I personally have not seen output from those plans that have been created. So I would also like to have another opportunity for community members to give and, like I said, hold not only ourselves and CPD accountable in terms of, okay, you've heard us, what's being done. That's ultimately the goal behind this idea. Okay, next speaker is Anna. Yeah, I've been talking to everybody. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I am a community member and I have a suggestion and a couple of questions. a suggestion to the, toward the goal that we were just talking about, might we make it a little more specific? I'm thinking specifically about the SMART framework, you know, like just to narrow down the goal, it's supposed to be.
Specific, measurable.
Yes, specific, measurable,
Actionable.
actionable, achievable, relevant,
Achievable.
and bound. Just because when we're talking about short term, like how short are we speaking, like what is it specifically decreasing crime by how much, which type of crime, you know, like maybe more specific things might produce more specific solutions. And maybe even asking community to come up with a more specific goal would be helpful. And the two questions I had, one is, my friend told me about a concept called Cop City, and that there might be a thing happening like that in Illinois, specifically nearby Chicago. I don't know if you've heard about this, or that might be, okay. And another question I have, this is just my curiosity, because I can't find anything at a glance on Google, about organized crime in the 19th police district. Does it exist? To what extent? What's happening with that? If it exists. Thanks.
You wanna?
Just real quick to address the SMART goals, concern, that is something, I think our goal that we're hearing from the community is they want to see a reduce the amount of violent crime. What we will come up with will be SMART goals that we can make sure are measurable and helpful. The Apple acronym, so that as well, thank you.
And just to clarify, SMART is a framework in which it puts bounds behind our goals to make it more realistic and, I guess, hold us accountable. So thanks for the suggestion.
And for organized crime, I don't know if, the sergeant is able to get.
Curious yet, can we be specific about what it is? No, it might compromise.
And I think there are some dashboards or some reports that are put out by the CPD actually about organized crime. If you want to email me, I can try to look that up for you and put you in the right direction, because I have seen them before. I just believe that they're outdated for the protection of the officers out on the beat. Yeah, the shared email is perfect.
19th District Council at gmail.com.
He asked if there was organized crime in the district. The answer is yes, but I cannot get into detail on what that is. Because the investigations are usually covert. I'm gonna involve with them.
Is there a special unit for covert stuff?
There is.
Okay.
There are a few of them.
Yeah. So we can hear it.
The answer is yes, that there is organized crime in the district. However, we cannot divulge any details due to the safety and the sensitivity of those operations, and there are tactical teams specific to address organized crime in the district. We're gonna go ahead and go to the next speaker. I want to be mindful of time. We only got 12 minutes left. So, Claire, I think you were the last speaker request.
Hi, my name is Claire Sharpie. Oops, I think I just stepped in for. On the subject of too many meetings on the same night, I missed the presentation because I was at Alderman Martin's board night out in Uptown. So I look forward to watching the recording and the presentation on it. Yeah, I'm learning more about it. I just want to invite everyone in the room to the 1911 and 1912 beat meeting, which is next week. Same day, it's on Wednesday, same room, same time, 6:30 p.m. It's, like I said, 1911 and 1912. Can I just get a show of hands? Who here has been to a beat meeting? Okay, good. So some of us are familiar, some people are not. I only started going to my beat meetings in November. So, the library here is in 1911, okay, in the 11th beat. So that runs from the river to Damon and Irving to Lawrence. And then 12 runs from Damon to Clark and also Irving to Lawrence. So those are the beats that will be discussed at next week's meeting, but anyone from the 19th district is welcome at any beat meeting in the district. So I got involved because I've been coming to public safety meetings for the past year, and the 19th district CAP's office asked me if I would be interested in being a facilitator. So I'm taking a volunteer position because we need to hold our police accountable, we need to hold our elected officials accountable, but we residents need to hold ourselves accountable. We need to be showing up, not just when we're upset, but regularly, as consistently as possible. And work with our elected officials, work with each other, work with the police to come up with solutions. It ties in directly with what the council just said about community engagement. So I really encourage everybody to come to either the beat meeting next week or whatever your beat meeting is. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors, and we can talk with the police about recent crime incidents, and come up with solutions together. And they're not all going to be solved in one meeting, but we can bring ideas from there to the council meetings, to the CAP's office, and hopefully make some positive changes.
Thank you. Yeah, just to piggyback on what Claire was saying, we have a new. We have a new CAP sergeant in the district, and I think he's really looking to do some new exciting things with the program. I think that this will be a time for some of these conversations to happen. So we're excited about that. And I'm really looking to talk with somebody. We can speak together about it. But it's exciting. It's exciting that we do CAP sergeant, and we suggest that you would send your beat. And like Mario was about to show you, you can find your beat when you go to our website.
Yeah, so using the take action page that I highlighted earlier, we put in some information on how to find your beat. This is just the map that Claire was mentioning. As you can see, it starts at 1911 in the top northwest corner and then works all the way to higher numbers in 1935 in the southeast corner, right? There's a link provided in the website. If you don't know which beat you live in, to be frank, I did not know which beat I lived in before this position. There is a link here that you can follow, and you can put in your address and it tells you exactly which beat you're in. So just know that that's available on our website.
That's the website. Also, if you scroll down on this page on the website, this is the schedule for the next district CAPS meetings. So if you want to attend every meeting, this is where they are. It's a little confusing, but so go back to the back. So in the back, you see that the beats all start with 19 and then we have two numbers afterwards. The top sector is the 10s, the middle is the 20s, the bottom is the 30s. So if we go back down, it's that last two numbers that is your beat. And that's where you can find where the top is. They're all at 6:30 p.m. Here's all the dates for the whole year. And they're a good time. I do think our new CAP sergeant is trying to restructure those meetings a bit. Recruiting more meeting facilitators, Claire, thanks for stepping up for that. And doing some of this problem solving work even more. The district council is separate from CAP, we definitely want to work in tandem as much as possible. And so it's another great opportunity to engage, particularly CPD directly and some of the beat officers that are in your neighborhoods.
Is the date wrong up here? Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. The one meeting. Okay. So as I mentioned, we do not want to be tardy. So that is going to conclude our meeting. Thank you so much for everybody coming. I did want to mention.
Our next meeting, don't forget that as well. On the 24th of April at the Athenaeum Theater. And then just real quick call to action. Remember, on the table, there's all those mental health resources. Please grab some, share them with your community, because this is how we're going to get mental health care, mental health crisis to expand. And just make sure you sign up for the community meetings. And as we asked last time, we have these nice flyers that we created. We're looking to just post them up around the 19th district, so that people are able to find out more about who we are, how to get involved, how to come to our meetings. We want to see more and more people at our meetings. So hopefully this is one way. Invite people, bring more people with you next time you come to our meeting. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you, everybody.